which is the earliest I've ever seen. I never went around this way to my train.
Right, yeah.
On Saturday morning.
All right.
That's nice. All right, well, the time is now officially 1:30 and we will open our Big Sky Resort Area District meeting. First agenda item, is there any public comment for items that are not on our agenda? Hearing none, I'd like to see if it's okay with the board if we move the Big Sky Community Housing Trust item in front of staffing structure. Okay, so we will have action on the Big Sky Housing Trust update.
Hi there. So Laura Seafang, I was here a couple weeks ago and gave you an update that said that the project was moving along, but that we didn't expect to close until mid-March. And so that's when we were expecting to need funds to be able to move forward with the Meadowview project. But like the next day, there was a change in the game plan that we've been working on. So I felt I needed to come back and give you a more accurate update and a request, which is we're going to actually now have a two-part closing between the developer and HRDC, with the first part of the closing being to really just settle on the land piece that's being conveyed. What that's doing is by getting that part closed now before final plat, which is really our holdup for the final close, we're able to really have funds that let construction continue through the winter months. So we were really, everybody was in a cost constraint for it to be able to continue with vertical construction, and we wanted to find a way to break that free. So what got negotiated between the parties was to have a close on the land portion here mid-December. So we would be asking the Resort Tax Board to release funds for us to be able to go forward with that transaction, and it doesn't delay our project completion, which is really what we're wanting to make sure happens. So we probably lost about 2 weeks in this negotiation process, but we're still forecasting now that the first units will be completed at the end of April, right before we're kind of hoping for earlier. So that's the request, is to release those funds for the land, which is what really they were allocated for us to pay Meadowview, HRDC, and pay Meadowview for that. We were anticipating it being mid-December.
Sure.
Steve and I went back and just looked at it, and this is in keeping with what our contract is. It's about land banking. And what this looks like. It is land banking. Buying the land first. You don't want to confuse it with taking back and getting the other project before that added those stipulations into it. Some are done. So I would say certainly that they should be able to do this. It's all within the contract. Just that the contract does have certain things you have to report to us about how you're using the money in writing. Okay, writing and such. If you go back to the contract and look at that, just follow that. So we're okay. I would think I don't think there's a motion needed to be done because it's part of the contract, and we should feel very good about it all the time.
And as we discussed it, what I pointed out is we're actually buying an asset and getting something for this. So it is, our money is secured with what it's used to acquire. So that gives me some satisfaction.
And that's what I was going to ask, and I haven't looked at the plat on this one, Laura, but typically you have a 10-acre tract of ground, and when you subdivide it, it's now 10 1-acre tracts, and that's what happens at final plat is that 10 acres is now 10 1-acre tracts. And I don't think that's the case in this because it's going to be a ground lease and the housing trust will own it. So end of the day, the only risk you have is you don't get final plat, but you still own the dirt.
Right.
And I think we spent a lot of energy going through. HRDC got nervous about this too, because what if they didn't get final plat then? But they feel 99% comfortable that there's no issues looming with final plat. They've gone to everybody to ask to make sure they see anything that's going to hold this up. It's just more of the time it takes to get it through.
Well, and we've already seen this thing work its way through county level approvals already. And the general tone at the county level is the same as it is here. Affordable housing projects are righteous. You don't want to do anything to stand in the way of this thing moving forward. So I can't imagine final plat is gonna be a big deal at all.
And you will own a piece of dirt regardless.
Yeah.
That's
Exactly, yeah, with some foundations on it.
Yeah, exactly.
And our contract does say if for some reason we never go through on it as affordable housing and such, HRDC is liable to us for our funds.
And
So,
But with your guys' understanding, we don't even need an action item on this.
And
It's just,
our
it's just
view
them
was
telling
that-
them they need the money sooner than they originally told us.
Exactly.
entirely consistent with the contract, so
Great.
no big deal.
Awesome. You did have a two-party.
Yes, so the second part of that was, as we have looked at the folks who are on the affordable housing wait list, who've applied and qualified, we were recognizing that there may be a need to have a little different set of rules for who fits in that project, as we're understanding costs and understanding qualifications. Thinking that we might need to adjust pricing and subsidy levels based on income, and just wanted to make sure with that conversation that that didn't cause heartache to the folks who allocated the funds. And Steve and Mike and I met at length yesterday, kind of going through the people, kind of just looking at where people fell, and we've talked about formulas that help us be very consistent to get the right people into those projects so that we don't have people subverting the intent of what we're trying to do here, but also it basically would be sort of adjusting price or subsidy, whichever way you want to call that, based on someone's affordability,
Right.
or which is their income level ratio to the price of the house. So we'll have several different units to be offered at different price levels. So some people have an affordability that slots them towards one, some towards another. So I think we feel comfortable that we're going to keep working together on the formulas and making sure that we create a model that doesn't just work for this project, but that we're learning from what other communities have done, and then it becomes something we can keep using for future projects that we're going to do. So we've got a template that works, and we're going to keep talking through those numbers.
And as the ground lease draft gets finalized and such, much of that will
Be documented.
be documented. And just for anyone who's listening, when she says people, this was all done without names.
Yeah,
We don't know who they are.
So then there was this many that fell on this range, there was this many
It
that
was
fell
just
on
the
that
income
range.
brackets we were talking as, treating that as people.
So far, what is the list of people that you've generated?
We have about 35 folks right now, with maybe 3 of those actually not going to be able to qualify,
32 people that
Yeah.
are qualified.
that would fit into this, it looks like it would fit into this. So one of the things I just did submit to the Lookout was an article to go in next week's paper that tries to promote, hey, there's more room here, and telling people, because there's a misconception in the community that there's like 100 people on the wait list, so you can't possibly get in there, and we want people to know that's not true. And I've posted flyers all over town because we'll have classes for people before Christmas and first week of February, so that people can not have to go to Bozeman to take their home buyer classes. So we're trying to get more people onto that.
I think that's been helpful. I've had at least 3 or 4 people reach out and say, what do you know about it? I saw this flyer, but I thought that they were sold out. And I said, just go to the class because you don't
Yeah.
know.
That's what I write in the article, say, get on the list. Because even if you want a 3-bedroom, and we're not offering it, but we're gonna have 3 bedrooms someday, so get on the list, because it gets you ready for when we do have those projects.
Great.
Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, so no action was needed on either of those.
No, I mean, this is all good stuff. I mean, it's appropriately matching people on the list to the units that they qualify for and they're suited to them. So that mechanism needs to be perfected.
Once again, thanks to the 3 of you for the time putting into these very weighty topics. So, awesome. Big Sky Community, I'm sorry, staffing structure, action. Miss Whitney, would you mind giving an overview? There were some nuances, changes to what we received
Great.
versus what was discussed, and would
Okay,
you
great.
mind covering those?
I'd be happy to. So I just did a cover page to the to everything so that it didn't. I feel like I don't want to overwhelm you with what feels like needs action. So that's what the cover page is, or suggestions, and that runs the gamut from approving a district manager position, restructuring the existing staff, amending the budget, appointing a hiring subcommittee, and approving the recruitment plan. So those are essentially the action items for today. I'd like to touch on number 2, restructure the existing staff. Last time we went through our operational restructuring, we essentially just added a second person. So this restructuring is moving us from 2 to 3.5 people, and it's adjusting the different tasks. So right now my role is compliance officer, as well as I'm the operational officer as well, right? I manage everything operationally and am responsible for everything. So that would obviously change to the district manager being responsible for everything. So as far as an operational manager title, I'm happy to have that. But in the research that I started to do with other local governments, there are obviously lots of different options for titles. But I felt that these were the most representative titles of what we would be doing. I would be working on similar projects to the district manager. I bet that we would collaborate a lot. I would probably do more of maybe the spreadsheets type back of house work, and they would do more of the meeting and negotiating. So that's the reason for that title change. I moved compliance officer to tax revenue manager because Kristen would do more than compliance. She would do everything having to do with taxes. And I do think that this is a position that we've never given attention to, and it is an important position that does exist in all local governments, regardless where you're at. And then, of course, an administrative assistant and the outsourced bookkeeper. So that's like you said, the nuances that are different. That's specifically on number 2. I went ahead and included wage ranges for each position. My wage does not change. The district manager I provided a spreadsheet which outlined all of the city managers across the state that had data available. And those that were most similar to us included Belgrade, Livingston, West Yellowstone, and the third one was like Columbia Falls. And so that's where I came up with the wage range. I also matched that to the district managers living in Big Sky. So the water and sewer district manager, the fire district, and of course the transportation district. And one I left off is the school district. I can't believe I didn't put him on here, but I forgot about that. But that could be forthcoming, of course. So that's where the wage range came up. Same goes for the tax revenue manager. That's based on that spreadsheet as well. And the outsourced bookkeeper is just a quote that was given to us from 2 different firms down in Bozeman. So I think that this is initially another motion to keep us moving forward, settling on what the cost would be for each of these positions depends on who we get, and then for the outsourced bookkeeper, what they determine how much work is needed. So when I created the budget, I used the midpoint of all of those wages, and it's an increase in our budget of 34%, and it increases that ratio of income to expense from 3.6% to 6.3%. So is that a good enough overview? Any questions?
I think it's very good work, but I guess I'm coming in my own mind a little differently. I think that we need the executive director and such, and you've done loads of work on it and such, but it's like we're kind of designing what their job is going to be. And, if we're hiring someone that we have definite things that we expect them to be doing for us in that. We're undermining their ability to come in and design the program underneath themselves.
I'm glad to hear that.
Selves
great.
do things. We're kind of trying right now to say, you know, we're gonna hire you, a bookkeeper and someone else, and when you come in, we've already decided what you're gonna do for us and how you, more, we don't mind deciding what they're gonna do for us. We might not wanna decide exactly to this degree how they're going to do it, because I'm hoping that when you hire someone that has a lot of administrative experience, and also, you know, something about hiring your own people sometimes, you know, as opposed to hiring brand new people who can come into and such, you know. Sometimes you don't get that opportunity, but when you do hire and sign out jobs, it's kind of nice to say, this is what we want out of our top person, because a board really operates mainly with that. When we get an executive director, you know, that's was the purpose of working with that person mainly, but all of a sudden we're going to be hiring the people underneath it, and people kind of who they work for is who hired them sometimes and such. I don't think that's our job. I think what we need to do is take loads of this research that you've done on the executive director and such, fine tune it to what we want that director to do for us, and hire them, and then let it start falling together for itself. It might slow it down a little bit, but I think we'll end up with a better product.
If I may, we actually did talk about that, Kevin, Whitney, and I, and the thought was we can't keep up with anything as is right now that we want to be keeping up with. So like the admin assistant is kind of a part-time, like, let's just get some help into the office. That person may become a full-time after the new person, the district manager, arrives. And same idea with the bookkeeping. Like, it may be that once the district manager gets here, they say, oh gosh, let's hire a full-time year-round admin and have the right person, and we're gonna maybe have us do bookkeeping, knowing that it's fluid, but this will get us through to allow that person to start and really see what they think the office can do. I mean, we made changes to this department this district last year, and now we're making changes again this year. I don't think by doing this, we're saying you have to do it this way. It's locked and loaded, never can change, is my opinion.
I'm wondering if there's a hybrid here, and
Yeah.
and what I'm thinking, the only new position there's two positions that would be hired by this district, and one is the the district manager, and the second is the assistant.
Right.
Those are the two hires, and your points, like I said, we talked about this, saying it would be nice if you're the district manager to hire your people. And what I'm wondering is maybe we authorize the district manager and the outsourcing bookkeeping so that we free up our staff with the bookkeeping right away, get the district manager on board, and then allow them to get their thumbprint on the staffing. And did you hear what I was, did you catch the gist of that, Wendy?
It sounded like no admin assistant. Is that right?
The idea,
Okay.
and
No,
there's
that's
not a
fine.
motion, this is discussion right now. With that, because I do feel this board should feel that we have, a staff of two here that have way more on their plate that they can do, and so how can we make some improvements immediately? And if we hire the district manager or start that process and then immediately outsource the bookkeeping, outsourcing the bookkeeping should free up some time on this team. And then could we allow the district manager to get hired and do the rest of the staff?
I'll take what I can get. It sounds great.
I would speak very candidly.
Okay.
Is that not enough?
We don't have two people here. I work 3/4 time. Just as everybody knows it. That hasn't changed since I started.
Yeah.
But the problem is you're working more than 3/4 time.
I have 56 hours in this week.
So
So I'm
that
ready.
is the concern that I have.
Okay.
I think the point
Yeah.
is, if you hire a district manager that's worth the district manager,
Mm-hmm.
that person's gonna wanna make their own decisions. So
Yeah.
implicitly in that is, we can do whatever we want between now and then, but implicitly is that person has a right to rethink everything once they get in the chair.
Agreed.
And I think we want that. We want a strong person who has, some sense of, this is my shop, I'm gonna do it this way. We want that.
And maybe we call this admin assistant a seasonal position to start, hire, and then when we do get a district manager, if they say, hey, I really like Steve, great, let's keep it going with him and hire him as a full-time, or, like, that gives us some flexibility. But
Sure.
it also gives us an end date of, April 30th or whatever that looks like, so that, we can then,
The most important position to me is the district manager.
And we have a
So,
strong one, and the
yeah.
strong one is gonna have some opinions, and so I think we need to, if you wanna hire a strong one, you're implicitly gonna respect those opinions once they get on board.
Do you have a recommendation as a bridge to?
Well, I think that's what the three of us have talked about, was we do think of this, I think, as a bridge. I mean, in 1 year, I would be surprised if the district manager came in here and said, the staffing is great, I have more than I need, this is wonderful, but I could be wrong. So I think in 1 year, we owe it to them no matter what, for them to be able to tell us what they think. But there will be some time where they'll need to get their feet wet, and in that time, I want to be accomplishing the work that you guys have set out and are trying to accomplish. And I do hear frustration from different board members about the time that it's taking board members to accomplish the work, and I'd like to work on taking that off as well in the interim. So I'm just, this is the recommendation that I had worked with Sarah and Kevin with, so there's no other, creation out there. But like I said, I'm happy to get, the district manager is really what I would like approved, and us moving forward on that. And it does take a lot of time to fill positions, so maybe the admin is not worth it just to take that time to try to fill someone.
There's probably a pretty good chance that bookkeeping could be stays outsourced, just because of the way you might have a firm that has some depth to it instead of one person who might come and go from your operation there. By hiring a bookkeeping source and such, and all of the things that you would want to turn over to them right away, what kind of an FTE savings is that by having that new position? How much, as opposed to having a person in-house, is it
Right.
half, is it a whole, 3/4?
I estimated about 20 to 30 hours a week.
Okay, so half to 3/4 FTE, which is quite a bit of, it takes quite a bit of pressure off of you right
It does,
away.
yes.
And it's going to take your time getting that all turned over.
That would be great if we were operating perfectly right now, or if we just thought maybe 20 more hours will operate perfectly. I just feel that we're really behind the ball as it stands across the board.
Well, it sounds to me like we've had two board members who've worked with staff. Staff has made a proposal, and I think we should support that, understanding that when we do get a director, that it's a new ballgame, and they can do whatever they want to do around staffing. But if we're, you guys are working overtime now, I think we need to honor your concerns, and so I move that we accept the proposal as it stands.
I would second.
To clarify, your motion was to do 1, 2, and 3, all at once. We're gonna authorize, we're gonna change the staffing model, we're gonna hire, we are gonna look for the district manager and the administrative assistant, and we are gonna outsource the bookkeeping, and we are gonna amend the budget accordingly.
And
My second stance.
with the understanding that once we have a director, that,
We may be having this conversation again.
right,
Absolutely.
We want a director or a district manager who owns the job, and part of owning the job is asserting yourself into it. So for right now, I think it's a good move, but implicitly in this, if we get the right person, stand by for another conversation.
Oh, for sure.
I agree.
Okay, so it's been motioned and seconded. Any further board discussion? Is there any public comment? Hearing none,
Oh,
I'll
we have some.
Candace,
Happy
raise
to
your
make
hand.
one as a recently placed CEO of 2 organizations that staff transition is a natural part of the evolution with the new leader coming on board. So, but to the point of, you still gotta have some folks doing the job when I get in, because it was overwhelming with staff transition as I came in, not having certain things being done. Because then you can't focus on that because you're too busy trying to do. So
Thank you.
Just want to be sure the board knows that there's a wage increase in there for Kristen. And so there was,
I think the wages were inappropriate.
Yeah,
okay.
and Wendy and I talked about that specific item. It's a new job that Kristen would be getting assigned to.
And honestly, guys, we are so lucky to have her and her skill set.
She's phenomenal.
She is.
Okay, I'm watching the time. I want to make sure that we're ready. So it's been motioned and seconded. Any further discussion?
Question, if we're hiring two people, executive director and this other person working that, do we feel basically they're gonna be coming on staff at around the same time?
I don't think we have any clue. I don't know how this is gonna work. One
I'm
position
saying-
may fill right away, one
If
may
they're coming on
not.
at the same time,
I would guess, if I had to guess, we'll get a part-time person to the admin. Probably a little easier than we'll get an executive director. I would envision that it wouldn't be a full board approval for every admin officer that we hire. Maybe I'm wrong, but, I would envision it's likely that we'll get part-time help before we get district manager help. in my opinion.
And two, they're concerned about the district manager putting their thumb right. Typically, I don't want to call it a 6-month grace period with employees, but it is a 6-month grace period with
Okay.
employees.
Great.
As far as, so
Okay.
I'm comfortable and I understand everything. So, okay. Any further discussion? We'll call the vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Okay, we need to appoint a hiring subcommittee.
I would like to be on the subcommittee.
I would also like to be on that subcommittee. You guys don't mind if we can continue to work with Whitney on this topic?
Do we need to make a motion or just continue?
I think.
Well, we can't have any more than two, so if
And
anybody else feels they need to be on this.
yeah,
I think Buzz and I are gonna be busy.
Yeah,
Me
too. Okay.
and Mike is too with the legislative session.
Yeah.
So I would like a motion because your previous one was a compliance subcommittee. So this would be a hiring committee.
I would make a motion for Kevin and I to be on the hiring subcommittee.
So,
Okay. So motion and seconded. Any public comment? Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. To approve the recruitment plan.
Pretty basic.
I just had a couple comments on, it was actually the process, because
Great.
for just the district manager, I would not throw the admin assistant into the same bucket, but I know for the district manager, I would like the subcommittee to narrow it down to 2 or 3 top candidates. And then I would like it to be a full board interview, and then also have some sort of public meet and greet with that candidate, or with the final 2 or final 3.
Can I make a comment?
Yeah.
Whitney and I talked about that when I went through the, if it is somebody local, it is a very tough position we are putting them in. If we have like 2 local candidates and we have a meet and greet with 2 local candidates in the public, if one local candidate doesn't get the job, their employer now knows that they were looking to leave when maybe they wouldn't have known. So that is my only concern. Sometimes leaving is hard enough. It's a
Good point.
in town,
Yeah,
it's a hard.
It makes a lot of sense.
I'm not sure exactly, maybe on executive committee, I don't like to go into private sessions and such. Generally, for a lot of boards, it's both legal and personnel. Personnel, you might want to check into it to see what we can do as far as that, because there is generally, when you're doing that, you're running into this, what you're talking about, people don't want it to be public and such like that. But because we are public, I'm not exactly sure that I am assuming in private corporations and that one, they go into, they do that for those sessions. So let's just check on it and that will tell us what we can do.
Okay, if it's okay with the board, I would like to start this next meeting on time at 2. And what I would like to do is approve the recruitment plan at this meeting. And then we have another meeting on December 12th, and then Whitney and Sarah and I can finalize how this process will work with the candidate. So I make a motion to approve the recruitment plan.
Second.
The motion and seconded. Any further board discussion? Any public comment? Call the vote. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Thank you, Whitney.
Thank you all.
Last agenda item, any public comment? Have a motion to adjourn.
I'm gonna quick go get my.
Motion.
That would be so motion to adjourn.
Second.
Great.
All right.
Thank you.